Hello everybody, I'm Jim Durrett, Mayor of Montgomery County. We're continuing our series of bringing the spotlight to people that make things happen in Montgomery County government. Elected officials, department heads, just key employees. And today, I'm gonna be talking to Miss Stephanie Morlock, and Stephanie is our purchasing agent. And so that's, when you talk about purchasing agent, we're gonna get into this real deep, Stephanie.
Okay.
But before we do, I want you to just tell everybody a little bit about Stephanie Morlock.
Okay.
You're not from here. You're not a Montgomery County, correct?
Yes, I am.
Oh, you are?
Yes, I wasn't born here. Military family. We got here in 1981.
Okay.
So I've been here most of my life.
Okay.
So I was born in Texas, actually, in Fort Hood. Traveled a little bit overseas with my dad, with him being in the military. My brother, both brothers actually, did time in the service, Navy and Army. So coming from a military background, been here most of my life, and
Yeah, so you graduated high school here?
yes, in Northwest High School.
Yeah, Viking, huh?
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. So what'd you do when you got out of high school?
When I first got out of high school, I went and did school for a little while and got married and finished school later, and then just odd and end jobs while I was going through college,
Yeah.
and worked in the hotel business for 7 years. That is an interesting business.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So when'd you come to work for Montgomery County?
In 2004
And at what department?
at the sheriff's office.
Yeah. So talk about some of the things you did at the sheriff's office.
The sheriff's office, I started there as their administrative assistant, and then I moved from there to attended the police academy, and went to and became a deputy. And was an SRO, school resource officer, for 9.5 years. Then I went back upstairs to their administrative office to be their budget analyst.
And so you did that for how long?
4 years.
4 years. And so the sheriff's department has a pretty complex budget because there's multiple budgets.
Very.
Yeah, I mean, there's a SRO budget, there's a jail budget,
Yes.
there's the
There
sheriff's
was.
office budget, there's all these different budgets.
Yes.
So constantly involved in that. And you did in coordination with the purchasing department,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
you did basically all the procurement for the sheriff's department,
Yes.
pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I had one other person that was my counterpart in the jail, and she did for the jail and the workhouse, and then I handled the rest of the sheriff's office.
So how long have you been the purchasing agent?
A little over a year.
It's hard to believe, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It went very quickly.
Yeah. So do you think that, look, let me start over. So what's a typical day look like for the purchasing agent?
Typical day, lots of approving of requisitions to create POs. We have 42 county departments and 3 state offices that we process and procure all of their items. And after doing approvals and things like that, usually generally move about the day with bids or vehicles. We take care of the vehicles, doing their fuel cards, getting their tags, all of that stuff. We also handle the courier for the county, our office does. And we also do the pauper burials for the county.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have a lot going on, a lot of phone calls, questions.
Yeah. So pretty much if somebody in county government buys something, y'all touch some part of that.
Some part of it, yes.
Some part of it.
Yes. It's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot.
For that many offices.
Yeah, it is a lot.
Yeah.
And then, we've done one of these series with Nick Powell, the county engineer, and, once Nick's done everything he does and now it's time to build a project, boom,
Yep, it comes to us.
comes to
Yes.
purchasing.
We handle their actual bidding process, even though they prepare their own bids, cause there's pretty different from, just purchasing a vehicle or doing something like that, so. And then once we do that, or once they're done with that part, they send it to our office, and then we process that, and so every bid that comes through, obviously we take care of that.
And if nobody's ever worked on the government side, I know. Purchasing is so much different on the government side because there's a lot of state law that dictates what we have to do. If I want to build a house, just personally, I can call Stephanie and John and Bill and say, hey guys, I'm thinking about building a house, here are my plans, and John may be, or Bill may be the highest bidder, but I go with them. Because of something they've done. And there's a way, obviously it's lowest and best. But I mean, but typically it's the low bid.
It's the lowest, it is.
Yeah, and especially when you're talking about a big construction project. I mean, unless somebody made some kind of error, mathematical error on their bid, but it's very complex and it's not easy.
No, it is not. It is not.
Yeah. I mean, for us to acquire a vehicle,
yes,
it's just a process.
It is a process.
Yeah.
And you can do that either way, because we have, statewide contracts we can use, or we could put out a bid, just depending upon, and right now, currently, especially with the way, the vehicle market is right now, it's, really, you'd almost rather bid it out than do statewide contract, because just production right now is definitely different than it was, 2 years ago. So that's changed a lot for us in purchasing materials, shipments, everything. Things we used to be able to get in a few days, sometimes it's taken weeks now.
So we're talking about construction projects and vehicles and stuff, but y'all deal with pens and Post-it notes,
everything,
and paper,
everything,
and envelopes, and all of that.
Yeah, and we're even actually working on trying to streamline that and let the offices be.
What's your partner? You got like 20 people in your department?
No, I wish we did. We have 5, including me, and then there's 3 that handle purchasing aspect of everything, and then there's the courier, and then there's the printer, storekeeper, which that's changing, and she will be the printer office assistant. Yeah. And we print a lot of forms too. I didn't touch on that earlier. The sheriff's office has numerous forms that they print, because they do have to keep paper record. And and then all over the county, envelopes coming out where they have to mail, things out to citizens and all that. So we get a lot. There's a lot of printing that goes on over there. It wasn't as much, I didn't think it was that much, but after being there and seeing what comes through there, it's a lot. Because
you were so involved with purchasing before you became the purchasing agent, what's something that really was eye-opening to you when you went into that role? Was there any one thing that just was like, oh wow?
I really feel like the biggest thing was exactly that. Just not realizing how in-depth each part was for making the office, operate. And so that was one thing that helped me realize I needed to probably, take the type of role where I spent time in each of those roles. And so, being a small department, I've had that benefit. And having that benefit of it being so small has allowed me to take time in each of those roles. I've ran the courier route, which is actually kind of fun. You get out, you get to see people around the county. So, doing that.
I need to do that one day.
You should.
I think that would be so much fun.
I'm gonna get in there with Marcel. Do it. It's
fun. I'm gonna leave her. Y'all gonna make her do something else.
She's got a list.
Yeah.
Why don't y'all just swap?
We will. We'll swap for a day. I'll let her be mayor for a day. So, Stephanie, a lot of the people that I've talked to during this Spotlight series, building new codes, their customers are the residents of Montgomery County.
Yes.
Y'all are like totally different.
Yes.
I mean, your customers are every department within county government, but you also have this big relationship with the business community,
Yes.
whether it's a car lot, whether it's a Office Depot,
Yes.
whatever it may be. So y'all touch just so much stuff.
Yes, it is. I think that maybe, one of the other things that was kinda eye-opening for me was at, the sheriff's office, dealing with the vendor, dealing with purchasing and dealing with accounts and budgets. Okay, but then when you come here, it's like, our job to make sure that those vendors get in here,
Yeah,
and get them in the system and things like that. Things that seemed a little bit smaller scale are a larger scale, especially when you're dealing with that many offices.
I don't hear this a lot, but I hear it some about, I'd really like to do business with Montgomery County,
Mhm.
but, I can't. We don't turn anybody away. There's just, there's not every business in our community, is there a role for that business
Yes.
inside of county government? And I
Yes.
think that's where a lot of people maybe get the misperception is
Yes.
we're not supporting the small businesses, but a lot of the small businesses in actuality can't provide what we're looking for.
We need like in bulk
Yeah,
supplies and materials.
yeah,
Or even just the items, period, cause we do a lot of construction, a lot of,
Yeah.
cleaning companies, custodial supplies, things like that.
but we don't do a lot of services.
Services.
Yeah, it's mainly buying goods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
The services that we do are, engineering services, which,
Yeah.
Sometimes, but in construction companies, but most of those come, surrounding the process of having already done the bid
yeah,
for something, so, yeah, it's difficult, it is difficult.
yeah. What do you see as some short-term challenges in your department?
I think the short-term challenges, we really were already able to meet, not completely, but we're almost there. And what that was for us was to, like, make every record we have digital, except for, original signed documents. And we're pretty close to starting to scan everything in that we have to keep for, either a unknown amount of time or, farther than the 7
Yeah.
years or whatever
Yeah.
that you keep for
Yeah,
financial paperwork. Really because, I'm not really the biggest fan of paper being around everywhere. And it just has helped, it's better for the environment. And we just have so much as far as technology these days that it just helps us be more efficient. It
Yeah.
helps with the other departments. And so I think short term, we've accomplished a great amount in moving towards, just a more technological
yeah. Yeah.
aspect of looking at the purchasing side of things for Montgomery County.
What do you see as some long-term goals or challenges that you'd really like to overcome or get accomplished?
I think long term, the biggest thing that I think is to really truly for me is to break the stigma of it's always been that way.
Yeah,
Like things have always been that way.
yeah,
And it's easy, it's comfortable. Comfortability is so easy for people. And I feel like when you come in and you had, a 34-year predecessor who was great, knew
Right.
so
Awesome.
much.
awesome.
I don't even think I could ever,
Yeah,
absorb all that she knew. And it was just coming into that and thinking, wow, we have a lot to do. But then people are so accustomed to thinking that our office operates this way every day.
Yeah.
And once you throw a little bit of something in there, cause it's gonna be better, it's gonna be more efficient, but for them, it's just that, that fear of change. So I hope long-term, maybe we'll be able to break that stigma from, by offering our assistance, supporting the other offices as we go through those transitions. And I think that that's probably long-term is that.
Yeah, most people want something yesterday too, don't they?
Usually yesterday,
So, you know, I think you said something that I really admire, about the way you said it. And obviously there was somebody in your position before that.
Yes.
But whether it's me, whether it's you, whether it's building codes, whether it's park, I always think a fresh set of eyes is always good. And if there's something that fresh set of eyes sees, somebody shouldn't take it personal. But and so you stepped into this role and you've made some changes. But change is so hard because of exactly what you said. A lot of people that you're dealing with in the county have been doing it that way for
a long time.
And they'll say, well, that's the way we've always done it. Why do we want to change it? But they're only looking at it from their perspective,
and how
and not what happens on the back end of it.
Yes, and that's one of the things I've also tried to dive into as far as other departments, which I think has been really strange for some of them, because I'm like, hey, how do y'all do this? When you go to purchase something, what's your process? The sheriff's office was so large that, we had a form, an internal form that you use to get approvals for purchases and stuff like that. It went through your chain of command, and that was helpful because it was so large. Other departments are so small, they get, here, can you purchase that on the desk as you're walking by, and that's all you get, you know? And so I've kind of, reached out to a couple different departments. I'm like, what's your process? Because that helps us to know what we're dealing with on this side too. We have some departments that are so small that like they may do 3 or 4 requisitions to purchase orders, and have, we convert them to purchase orders maybe a year.
Yeah.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
And then we have other departments that are so big that, it's constant, all day. So it definitely is not small, we'll say. And go ahead.
Well, I was gonna change gears on you a little bit. So you've worked for the government for several years. 18. So what, there must be an attraction to it.
When, as a kid, unbelievably, since I was a little kid, I wanted to be a law enforcement officer. And so when I got the opportunity to work at the sheriff's office, I took that opportunity and was so super excited about that. But one thing that I've always done is anytime I have an opportunity that comes up, I pray about it, because that's just me, and that's how I do it, because people can do things, we've all done things you regret later, but I always have felt led to do that. And so when I went and I did that, I had no idea, how big county government really was. I was over here in an office with these 400 people, but it was so big, and it just became intriguing to me. I like history, I like things like that. So I was like, when I started having to go to commission meetings, it just became so intriguing to me.
Aren't they fun?
They really are. You do make them fun. But it became intriguing to me because I felt I don't know, it was just like a tugging, like, maybe you really want to do this, and maybe law enforcement's not what you want to do all your life.
Maybe more to offer.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was surprised by that. And then, my wonderful predecessor decided that it was time that she retired, and I am so happy for her.
Yeah.
There's some days that I'm like, how many years do I have left? But, and so then you so graciously appointed me to this position after interviews and being very nervous, because after 18 years of being somewhere, or 17 years of being somewhere else, and you're not really, doing interviews, you're like, whew, what was that, But yeah, and so, it's been very eye-opening, but I've enjoyed it.
If
ups,
you
downs.
could wave a magic wand and change something, what would you change? Would you change some state law or something
Credit
that
cards.
make it easier? Credit cards.
Credit cards. They would be right here, right now.
Yeah.
I think that, government spending, I don't think that's the unappealing thing about working with the government. Procurement and purchasing and trying to get things done with the government
It's hard.
it's tedious.
Yeah.
It's very longer, it's so much longer than it is just to,
Yeah. And I know there's reasons for that because we're the
Yes.
stewards of the taxpayers'
Yes,
dollar.
we are,
And,
certainly.
and so, there needs to be, criteria and things in
Yes.
place to make sure that, we are being stewards of the taxpayers'
Certainly.
dollar. But I think we do a good job
Oh,
of
we
it.
do
I
a
really
great job,
do.
I do.
Yeah.
I think we do. It's hard to explain that to other people.
It is.
So hard.
I think for me, the frustrating part is the slowness of it.
Yes,
If you could do something to expedite it.
yes, and,
Yeah.
As we try to do
I'm kind
that,
of a right
it's-
now kind of person
Yes.
anyway, and that's probably not the good way to be. So when you leave here and you bump into that couple outside and they're looking around and they're kind of lost and they say, "Hey, ma'am, can you help us?" And you start having this conversation with them and you find out they're thinking about moving to Montgomery County. Why do you tell them to move here?
well, for me, this is my hometown, and so I think it's a beautiful place. It just holds that hometown feel, and I'm not sure if that's just because when you've been here all your life, this is a small town. When you haven't been here all your life, it's big.
Yeah.
For me, even seeing it as it grows, way very quickly too, it's growing.
Yeah.
But as I see it grow, there's a part of me that sometimes does wish it was, still the way it was, but there's that other part of me that sees this, opportunity for expansion, opportunity to share what we have here with other people. So I just think it's a great place to live, in spite of what other people may think. Some people have been here all their lives and they're like, "Oh, I live in Clarksville."
I shouldn't
but
say
I love
this
it.
because we're gonna put this out on public media, but if you don't like it, move. Yeah.
I-24 goes east and west.
No,
I mean,
Stephanie, I hope that during this very brief time we've spent,
Mhm.
that the people will have a better understanding of really what you go through and the complexities that y'all deal with on a daily basis.
yes,
And county government's big. I mean,
It is big.
it is big.
there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
A lot of moving parts.
And if you just take the sheriff's department as one, what they
Yes.
procure, but I mean, then you add in EMS, you add in the court systems, you add in all these, the highway department, all
large
these different,
departments.
yeah, it's huge.
Yes,
Yeah.
in this, as it grows,
So Stephanie, tell me probably in the last year, what's been the most gratifying part about your job?
the most gratifying thing has been whenever the phone rings in our office, and whether it's me or one of the other ladies, we pick it up, and on the other end, we hear someone say, "Thank you for, helping us with this," or "Thank you for being so approachable," or "Thank you for, walking us through this, making this better, helping us." Because when we hear that, our thoughts are, if we're helping them, they're helping the citizens of Montgomery County better. So as long as the citizens of Montgomery County and the taxpayers are being, helped because of our efficiency, I feel like that's truly being a public servant.
Awesome, yeah.
So
Well, I sure
just
appreciate it, what you do
Yeah.
every day, and it's
Thank you.
really been fun talking
And
to
I
you.
appreciate you
Well,
appointing me
thank
to do
you.
that every
Thank
day.
you, it's been fun. Thanks,
Thank you.
Tracy.
Tracy,
Stephanie, I'm sorry.
Bob.
Yeah, well, you
Thanks,
gotta-
Bob. We'll be right back.